Welcome back to the Whiskey Wisdom Podcast, everybody. This is your co-host, Tyler Y'all, and today I am with
Chris Kellum.
And our special guest today is
Rebecca. I'm borderline losing my voice, so y'all just ignore me.
Well, you're a special guest. You're going to be talking the most today, so it's going to be hard to do that. But before we get too far into it, I'll let you introduce our drink of the week.
Okay. It's an Aperol Spritz. Classic, easy to drink, delicious. Should be for everyone, sometimes isn't. Just basic Aperol, Prosecco, and soda water.
Soda water?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said soap water.
Or that.
Depends
on your palate.
Gosh. Cheers it up.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing up.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Do-do-do.
Can take a sip or whatever so we don't have bad luck.
So you have to do, you can't cheers and not drink it.
I guess not.
Horrible. So, if anyone thinks this young lady looks familiar, it's because she is featured on the Starling's Instagram page all the time. And I post random pictures because I go to the bar way too much. But that's how we met.
That is how we all met.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, you look fun. And she's like, do you need a drink?
I'm like, sir, please don't talk to me.
You definitely give off that, what do you need face until I've been there enough times. You're like, oh, what's up?
I have the nicest face. What are you talking about?
To kind of bring it all together, when we started the podcast, it literally started, it started the planning phase at UNCW, but then right after UNCW, it came to the cargo district. So pretty much anyone and everyone who has any type of association with the cargo district was graced by the presence of Chris and I at one point or another, and then we just kind of stuck around for now coming on almost 3 years. So everyone's kind of stuck with us. So which is also why we're at Azalea Station right now doing the podcast in here, because we were at CoWorks in a studio that we had for a while over there. And then we have Brent making cocktails for us over there because he's paying attention now, I think.
No.
Nope, not today.
Brent.
Maybe next time.
Right.
We'll get attention that time. But anyway, Bex, tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got started in the industry and what brought you to where you are now.
Okay. Well, I'm born and raised here in Wilmington.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to school?
I was homeschooled. Homeschooled until high school. I actually did ballet for 17 years. So I went to boarding school 9th, 10th, and 11th grade for ballet out of state, which I definitely give credit to for living here now, because I don't think had I not left then, I probably wouldn't.
Come back.
No, definitely not. I definitely needed that time away, even though it was like younger years of my life, but it was crucial to like my appreciation.
Where was that at again?
I went to actually 3 different schools, one in Florida, one in South Carolina, and then I was in Seattle, Washington for a little bit as well.
Oh, wow.
You just
Kind of
keep
all
getting
over the
kicked
place.
out?
Yeah. Actually, one of them I did get kicked out of. Yeah. In my freshman year, I got kicked out of the school in Florida. Or not kicked out, because I wasn't like bad, but I was asked to not come
leave.
back. I had a lot of injuries that year.
Oh, okay.
Like probably 15.
Geez.
Only performed in like half of the shows we did that year. And unfortunately, we not only got school grades, but also dance grades. And due to all of my injuries and my like, I just couldn't, perform. I had to sit in a lot of classes. I had to write so many essays about ballet and like my girls in my class. It was really dumb. Anyways, I didn't make good enough grades in my dance classes to be asked back due to missing classes from injuries, which is like
So that makes no
kind of
sense.
effed up in my head, but whatever. I was 15. It didn't matter. So yeah, I came back here my senior year of high school, went to Cape Fear Community College and got my associates, and pretty much have been in the industry. Like my first ever job when I was 14 was Rita's Italian Ice.
I missed that place.
Love that.
Wait, which one was it?
The one that used to be by Hoggard, by the Harris Teeter. I started there and then got transferred to the Wrightsville Beach location, like
that
right
one
beside
was
Roberts.
poppin'.
I forgot about that one.
I worked there until I was like right around 16, and they like tried to get me to manage, and I literally was like, I'm in 10th grade. Like, what's going on? I can't manage this place. But anyways, yeah, just been in some sort of industry position. Started waiting tables as soon as I could at 18. Started bartending as soon as I could at 21, and haven't stopped. Unfortunately, I fucking love it. Am I allowed to cuss? Is that against the rules?
It's a drinking podcast. You can do whatever you want.
I would hope so. Like, this one of those things where people always come on, am I allowed to cuss? I'm like, you know that alcohol is in the title.
Yeah, true.
Like, now, if it was like, if we were doing like worship and wisdom, I'd be like, no, please don't.
Don't invite me to that.
I won't.
Thank you.
We'll make sure to keep
We'll
you
let
away
you
from that one. So you've been in industry for a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
Your progression as a bartender.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that like people don't really talk about because there's
No, definitely not.
I don't know why. It's
I want to jump in real quick too on this part, just because, and it's not even a question, but it's much of a statement. So there's people like that I meet, and they're like, "Oh yeah," like coming out of like high school or college, or whatever, and they're like, "I'm gonna be a bartender," and I was like, "Just like that?"
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Tell me how that works out for you. So I am actually interested to hear kind of how the progression was for yourself.
So yeah, started waiting tables. I worked at King Neptune when I was like 17.
Oh, yeah.
Was a host there, waited tables the second I turned 18 for like a year and a half probably. Kaylee and I actually worked there together.
Oh, no way.
And then I quit working there to wait tables at Tower 7 right across the street, which best money I'll ever make in my life. I'm still not convinced I'll make better money somewhere else. That shit is crazy. I was working so much though. It was a great job, but anywho, waited tables there almost 2 years, and then I turned 21 and got asked to move up to bartender.
over there. Nice.
So yeah, that's where I learned to bartend technically. Not that I would like, it was bartending, but like it was really just making like 17 different types of margaritas. So I didn't like really learn, you know, the classics or like, you know, all the basics when it came to like really making drinks. I did make my first old fashioned there, and that was, oh, bless that lady's heart. It was like this like older woman that would come in a lot, and when I first started bartending, she was like, "Oh, I don't know you," and I was like, "Oh no, like I've worked here 2 years, but like you know I just started bartending," and she would like walk me through the steps of how she wanted her old fashioned made, and just looking back, considering I work at a whiskey bar now, I'm like, how did I do that? We won't get into that though. That's another day. But yeah, so I worked there for 5.5 years, and then quit shortly. I'm like, what year? Time is like not real to me.
Ever since 2016, it's all been.
When was the pandemic? 2020?
Yeah.
2021.
2020.
That's when I quit. 2020, June of 2020. So like right after things were kind of opening back up. But also in like the middle of like my prime time at Tower 7, I was working late night at Red Dogs.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of between the two places, I think that's where I like got a lot of like my volume in, and that's what like really helped me develop like being fast and efficient. Because both bars are insane. I mean,
Yes.
Tower 7 was like one of the number one like profiting restaurants in Wilmington for many years.
I'm not surprised.
I mean, insane amount of money. But yeah, I would work there, then do late night at Red Dogs, which obviously also a very different style of bartending that I do now, but it was super fun. The hours sucked, but you know, I learned a lot of like dumb shots that now I can't remember what is actually in them. Yeah. After that, I did beer for a little bit, weirdly enough. Ran a brewery.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, flying machine.
So that's where I actually like met you for the very
Yeah.
first time, but I didn't go enough to like know you.
Yeah. I was there for like a year and a half, almost 2 years, like right kind of through like all the weirdness of the pandemic. And then I was like, I
Need a change.
don't care about beer. What am I doing? And I made good money. It was like, so, dude, pouring beer is so easy, crazy. And it's such good money. But I just didn't care about it. And it wasn't like, really fulfilling. So yeah, I left there, and that's kind of when like all of Starling started happening. And, Kaylee moved back and obviously hired me.
I mean, of course.
So before you started at Starling, did you know you had like a passion for cocktails? Or is it you're like, oh, this would be something interesting to do now?
No, definitely. I have always like really loved and appreciated cocktails. Funny enough, like I think in 2017 I went to Canada for a wedding, and had my first Negroni. And at first, I remember I was like 22, and I remember drinking it and being like, oh my God, this shit is nasty. But I was with like my old partner's family and like all of their friends that live in Canada, and like so many people in Canada drink Negronis, which is like
That's
kind
interesting.
of
Regular Negronis, not
Yeah.
the Spagliato
no,
one.
just regular.
Like,
Don't bring that back. But funny enough, that's my favorite cocktail. I love it more than any cocktail ever. But yeah, so anyways, I guess I kind of always knew I wanted to get back to making drinks. I don't know that I ever really pictured it to be like in this element for me. But I'm super glad it is. I think after I quit dancing, I kind of like missed like the creative aspects of ballet. And I say this to people, and I always feel like it sounds so cheesy, but like bartending is really creative if you're able,
Oh yeah.
they're like put in a position or a bar that like allows you to actually create things. And it is, whether you're creating a drink or like an environment or whatever you want it to be, it really is something that like fulfilled that for me, which was really cool. So.
I think that's something that we've brought a lot of people on who are in the industry that treat it as more of an artwork than just like a job, you know, right? Because I guess you could go to any probably bar downtown and it's like, oh, it's a college kid's like job, like make a few bucks, right? But a lot of people we brought on, it's their career and they love it, and it's the artistry of it that's given them the passion to pursue it and to make it the career that it is. And it seems like, especially with the background that you have in the ballet, which is very creative and artistic, is kind of where you got the passion from it. Is that about right?
Yeah, no, definitely. And like for me too, it's funny, people sometimes like will mention to me, they're like, oh, like, do you like everyone like looking at you, or like, being like the center of attention? And I'm like, yeah, I love that shit. Like, I mean, I started dancing when I was 2, started performing on stage when I was like 3 or 4. And then I got to where I was doing like 10, 11, 12 shows a year.
Oh, wow.
So like put me on stage, put me in the center of attention. Like I love it. And like being behind a bar is like, in a weird way, like kind of similar to that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I found a lot of like overlap with bartending and ballet, which is kind of weird and yeah, interesting for sure. But yeah, no, it's not just like making drinks, obviously. And it's, of course, like making money is important, but it's definitely like not about that either, I think. And I'm glad, I feel like Wilmington's kind of finally getting to the point where like there is a lot more individuals that like have a career drive and like passion for it. It's not just like, oh, this is my job.
Right.
Like, no, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Like I chose this and I like love this, So it's been like fun to see that flourishing, especially over the last like 2 to 3 years here.
It was always funny when Chris and I first met. I was just getting out of college, and at that point there was a bar that we always went to, and it was very much a college bar. And everyone there was like, I'm just doing this. I like it's a means to an end. I'm gonna get out of this thing, and I'm gonna go on to like my new best
That's the
next
last
career.
famous words.
Exactly, 100%. So one of two things always happened. Is I would sit there and I would tell them, I'm like, no one else is going to tell you this. Everyone's going to say, oh, yeah, go and do whatever thing you think you want to do. I was like, but if you want to stay in Wilmington, I can guarantee you whatever you're planning on doing, you're going to make more as a bartender, and you can make it a career here because you can. Or two, you're going to leave, you're going to try it, and you're going to come back, and I'm going to say hi to you, and I'm still going to see you here. And it's always what happened.
Yes.
For sure.
And I'm like, there's a reason why you're doing this here, because you enjoy it and you've stayed here. It's for the people that have been there for a while, not the ones that like come and go, you know? But like if you've been there for like a college bar for like a year or two, like there's something that's keeping you there, because a lot of those college kids tend to turn over pretty fast. And they end up getting a career in the service industry in one way, shape, or form, and they usually stay around Wilmington. So it's like,
also like those more like college, like divey bars, that's really where you make money.
Right.
It's
just
insane.
That volume, that turns.
Yeah, it's just like the quick interchanges. I mean, yeah, it's like $1 here and there, but like.
But you're making a lot of dollars.
I was going to say, yeah.
Well, and that makes it's interesting too, because like dive bars and college bars are spots where people don't tend to learn how to make crazy drinks. They make the classics.
A royal flush.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I haven't. Oh, sorry. If you're watching the video, I gagged because that was the drink that like before I was 21, I had friends who were older, and I was always the DD, and so I'd drive them to Oliver Twist, and they would always order a royal flush. Yes, that tells you how old I am. Yeah, so they would. It was.
I was like,
it was.
that's a while.
Yeah, they would always
I wasn't
order.
21 then.
The girls were ordering royal flush shots, and then the guys were always doing like the dollar beers or the penny beers, and I'm like,
Oh yeah,
I miss those days. But the first time I turned 21, that was the first shot I had was like a royal flush, and I was like, why would I do that to myself?
Oh, when I first turned 21, there was Fibbers around here, and they had dollar beer or penny beers, and that was where I first experienced penny beers.
That I literally was about when he was talking about that. I was going to bring that up because I instantly just thought about Fibbers and the carpet on the ground.
Oh, it's so bad. Like, I'm sad that they got rid of that. Like, you can't do that anymore, but the memories from those times.
I actually looked into buying Fibbers when they were selling it.
But you couldn't make that kind of money.
I was like, there's way too much that needs to be done in here for what you're asking for, and there was debt on the building. So I was like, there's no way I can make $1 off of this.
No.
So, talking about, like, drinks that were... There's a big difference from what you were doing, making 17 different margarita variations to the Red Dog shots. Like, because I feel like everything in there is a beer or a shot. Do people get drinks there?
Yeah.
Besides the fishbowl?
Kind of.
Okay.
Jack and
like
Coke?
here and there,
Come
you
on.
know,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of like one-in-ones, like vodka sodas, gin and tonics, that kind of stuff. But like occasionally, yes. The funny thing about there is, so like, it's not like you were making like a real cocktail. I would literally just put random things in a cup and be like, here you go. You're going to love it.
I'm sure you would get pissed in that environment if someone came up and they're like, oh, make me a Negroni.
Oh, that never got asked.
I'm
No.
sure.
No. Definitely not.
What about a Long Island iced tea?
Oh, yeah, I did
Probably
make a lot
not.
of those
Okay.
there. Yeah.
So, 2 questions for those. Yeah, you're a bartender, so I'm going to ask these questions. What's in a Negroni?
Okay.
It's like,
A
oh, okay, I
traditional
can't answer
Negroni,
that one.
because you guys have one. You have a barrel-aged Negroni right now on tap at the bar,
Yeah.
but like it's different than a traditional one.
Yeah, a traditional Negroni is just gin, Campari sweet vermouth, stirred over a big cube or up, but I think it should be over a big cube, with just an expressed orange.
Nice. And then the second question.
Equal parts. I left that out.
So that's
1
what-
ounce of each
okay.
gin, Campari sweet vermouth. Yeah.
It's like that's 3 ounces, or is it 4? I can never remember.
Because legally 3
Right.
ounces is all you can serve, at least in North Carolina.
Yep.
You also can't buy a bartender a drink in North Carolina, which I think is stupid.
Yeah, you can.
He said legally.
Second question. what's in a Long Island iced
I
tea?
knew you were
You
gonna
knew
ask
I was
this.
going to ask this, and I'll
I made
explain
you one
why.
before,
I
right?
know.
Yeah.
So what's in a Long Island?
Everything in the well.
Yeah. Essentially, yes. Not tea, first of all.
Yes.
We actually had to ban these from Starling because all of our well spirits are like decent quality.
yeah.
So after, the right math and, all that, so we profit a little bit. They were like $22 each.
Yes.
But essentially it's every clear spirit in your well. Yeah. So tequila, gin, vodka, rum, and then I do orange liqueur in mine. Lemon, sugar, shake it, top it with Coke.
Okay.
Some people don't shake theirs, but that is wrong.
Just so you know,
that's
other
just not how I
bartenders
do
out
it.
there.
A lot of people also will use like sour mix instead,
Okay, I've
but
seen
like
that.
Oh yeah.
I've only had
you would
3
like
in my life.
elevated Long Island iced tea. I got you.
Yeah. So I've only had 3. I remember.
That was my drink.
No.
Like if
That was stupid.
I hate
I mean, I
that they're
didn't say it
like
was
kind
smart.
of good. If they're made well,
Yes.
they're kind of good. It's kind of annoying.
My last one was at the Starling, and it was for my birthday.
Shit was delicious.
Yes. It was like the running joke. I was like, all right, I'm going to put enough money on my gift card because, yes, you can buy gift cards. And I was like, hey, I will get a
You had to
Starling.
collect money to buy
Yes. I was like, I want
Do
a
you not
Starling.
know about his like $5 increment gift card?
I know about that, but it's funny that he made it sound like he had to save up money
Oh,
to
yeah.
buy a Long Island iced tea.
Well, that was the point, is
piggy
because
bank.
I wanted to get one from the Starling because none of their liquors are like, oh, it's a $2 pour.
I don't
I
even
get
think I charged you either. It's like, here, it's
Happy
your
birthday.
birthday.
But I was like, I'm saving up for this thing because I'm like, I'm only going to order it once because I know how annoying these things are. And it was so delicious. And I was like, I don't need to order another one.
It's actually
I
quite
always thought-
simple.
Yeah.
I always thought you were putting those $5 on to get like one of the like
Oh, I did.
top
I did
shelf.
it twice.
Okay,
Like I did it towards my birthday, but
Just like when he's feeling like fun,
yeah. For those who don't know, I quite literally for like a solid year, every time I went to the bar, I put $5 on a gift card just so I could save up because they had a Macallan 25 that I wanted to try, and I was like, I'm saving for this. And then I ended up buying something else instead. But it was like, hey, if you spend $5 every time you visit, which was quite often back then, I got to my drink pretty quickly.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So what you're saying is come to the Starling for money management.
Yes.
Right.
If you set your money aside,
a very expensive
yeah,
bourbon.
you set your money aside, and you're not buying that like 2-ounce pour that's $150. No, I used it for the owl.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was for one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, I have that.
I was gonna
I
say
know you
something.
do.
You have it, right?
Unofficially, it was acquired from digging.
He took it out of the trash.
What?
If the government asks, that's how I got
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about?
it. Okay,
It was a
so
gift.
well, we're talking from like transitioning from making margaritas and horrible shots, enjoying Malort.
Jaeger.
Oh my gosh, they're the people that got me into Jaeger again. Also, I went years never drinking.
We've
Jaeger.
talked about Jaeger and Rempelmans today. This is a
Yes.
fantastic recording session.
Yes. But how did you end up like adjusting your palate, jumping from beer to making these drinks at the Starling that are not your traditional, hey, here's a classic old fashioned, you guys. I mean, the Starling's based off of a traditional drink, but like, how did you adjust your palate and start making new drinks? Got 'em.
I just did. I don't know. I mean, like, honestly, I really wish I could look back on like my first 6 months behind the bar at Starling, because I know that they were probably horrendous. I think really kind of what I did, I guess, was kind of focus on the classics, like learning those, learning the specs, thinking about like the best way to build the cocktails and like be efficient as that is something I was already good at, but in a different environment, the tiniest bar in the town. And like also very busy because we had just opened. It was definitely like a lot. But yeah, I think I probably like really focus more on obviously like our cocktails on our menu at the time. And then really just like learning the classics, becoming familiar with like how they tasted. Cause like, of course I had a lot of like normal, like old fashioned, Boulevardier, like Negroni, that kind of stuff. But like I had probably not, I had had like a whiskey sour maybe, like, you know, like there was just things that I didn't like know exactly how they tasted. So kind of after like our first initial like push kind of chilled out, I once I was more like comfortable and familiar with things, just started trying things I hadn't had.
Yeah.
Which wasn't necessarily like a lot of stuff. I've always like loved, you know, Campari, Aperol, Chartreuse, Jaeger, Montenegro, that kind of stuff. But then like Averna, Cynar, I wasn't like super familiar with like all of those things.
Yeah.
And I definitely wasn't familiar with like how they like would build in a cocktail. So yeah, like I don't know, I feel like once you were in it for so long, and you kind of know what things taste like, it's just easy to like, you know, make it work.
Yeah.
you just like I mean, even like at night when I'm like laying in bed or like drinking my coffee in the morning or about to go for a walk, like I think about like random cocktails all the time that I could make, you know, like that's just like kind of how your brain like just starts working.
Before I got into everything that I did when I moved to Wilmington, I was actually a DJ, believe it or not. Yeah. So the way that I think about it,
you wanna spotlight night?
I'm not coming out of retirement.
I got you.
Not coming out of retirement. But the way that I think about it, just from talking to like other bartenders and stuff too, is like anytime I'd be driving, if there was something that I would hear, I would think of like the next thing that went along with it. So like the thing that I think about with like bartenders is like, oh, you know what? I had this flavor or I ate this one thing that made me think that if I added this other thing to go with it, it would taste really good in a cocktail. Is that kind of like the same mindset?
It's kind of like I always make jokes with my coworkers. I feel like our brains are either song lyrics or cocktails, and that's it. There's no in between. Like, so yeah, it's kind of just like it is how things work, and like sometimes like, you know, you'll taste food or like an element of food, and you know, you can think like, oh, I should, you know, start playing around with that in a cocktail, whether that's like a fruit, a vegetable, an herb. But yeah, I would say that's a really good comparison. That's kind of just like, you know, once you're in something for so long, it's like that thing where you never see your car on the road until you buy your car, and then that's the only car you see on the road.
Yes. Unless you get a 4Runner, and everyone has one.
Who would do that?
I want to start in a different area real quick, kind of like take a quick turn, and then we'll build on to something else. But it'll make sense. I'm kind of going down one of like Chris's weird like
I feel like you
pathways
guys
right
both
now.
do this and hate when each other does it.
Oh,
That's
I
exactly
actually
what
don't hate it.
Chris is always like concerned when I do it because he's like, if you're going off the rails, I have no clue where this is going.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm ready.
So everyone always talks about the stories in the service industry. So what's one or two stories that are like just crazy that you've experienced? And then we'll go into more of the positive things from that. But we just need to start at a base level of like, this is the chaos that ensues.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember like a month or two ago, Chris, you asked me about coming on the podcast to share stuff like this. And I was like, my brain was like firing off so many stories. And I wish I would have written them down because I was remembering so many things. The first thing that comes to my mind, though, is when I was waiting tables at Tower. I was like 19, maybe 20. I remember vividly like what these dudes ordered, what they were sitting at table 402. Like I remember everything. They just middle of the day in the middle of summer at Wrightsville Beach. I set their food down. checked on them to see if they needed anything, walked away, came back like a few minutes later, and they were just lining up lines of cocaine to just do off the table. And like, I had never seen cocaine before in my life. So I was just kind of like, I knew obviously, but I was like, this is not how this works. Like, yeah, we'll forever, I think, until something.
At least have the decency to do it on the counter in the bathroom. Jeez.
I don't give a shit. Like, not in the middle of the restaurant.
That was crazier. I was gonna be like, how often have you had to kick somebody out because they were like, obviously, I know you kick plenty of people out for being drunk. Have you ever had to kick anybody out for doing things they weren't supposed to be doing in the bars?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I would say less often probably than kicking people out for being drunk. People are a little bit smarter about it now, I think. They at least.
But no, like Shuck and Shack incidences.
Oh my God. Well,
we won't talk about what actually happened.
At Red Dogs, I saw plenty of very similar experiences. Sure. That was another one.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
I remember. So
I don't want any comments down below asking what the Shuck and Shack incident was because I'm not answering it.
Google it.
Yeah, Google it.
I go to the bar enough, and well, that's debatable. But like, I went with my friend, and they were like, "Wait, does everyone know you here?" And I'm like, "I mean, it's not Cheers level, but there's a few of us that know each other." But I remember one night sitting at the bar, and like they have a flap open out the back of the cargo container, and there's like a little seating area, and this group of people were all just sitting there, drunk off their ass, and so one of the people was passed out asleep in the corner.
Oh no! Why are you doing this to me?
And I was dying laughing because like it's always painful because like you're trying to like as a bartender you're always the nice person until you don't have until you're not.
I was gonna say until you're literally not.
And legit, he's like me as a normal person. I'm like, oh, someone's sleeping at a bar. That's not the right thing. And you were like, hey, y'all gotta go. Like, I can't give you any more alcohol because I don't know who it's going to.
Right.
And these people got so furious. And I was like, common fucking sense. Someone's sleeping in a bar. You can't do that.
You let your friend fall asleep. You did.
We got a lot of 1-star reviews that night.
Oh, I'm sure. and then the car pulled up to drive them off. And I don't even think it was an Uber. I think somebody else showed up to like move the car. And this person legit like fell. Like they were carrying them. Like 2 people were carrying them out the bar. Mind you, it's an open door bar. Like, so you don't have to go through a door. They just tripped and fell. Tried to put them in the car, and it was like a lifted Jeep. So like you had to like grab them by the butt. And I was like, y'all, why are you out right now? So moral of the story is, if you're gonna be drunk, don't hinder your friends. Because that person could have gone and gotten a ride home like an hour and a half earlier because they were gone by then.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people should get rides home and
yes.
don't.
And on top of that, you guys aren't open till 2, are you?
No, we close at 11.
Yeah, so this was before 11 o'clock.
Oh, no.
Oh, it was like 9.
Yeah.
I think.
It was like 8, 9 o'clock. Like, it wasn't like a slammed night.
No.
But she's like, oh, I remember this.
Yeah. So I like have so many good stories that I want to share, but I just like feel morally that I cannot because they are Starling stories and it would probably bite me in the ass. We can talk about them
in the future when you elevate
and move. When there's not a microphone in front of your face. So now that we talked about that, I do want to talk about, because you mentioned talking about a lot of volume and everything too. So you competed in the speed rack competition.
What?
Yeah. How did that go? Tell us a little bit about that.
So it's the best. I love it.
And tell the listeners what that is.
I will. So I guess like probably around 2 years ago, I kind of became familiar with it. Last year specifically, I ended up meeting a friend through Kaylee that she met at camp. That had just competed in the New York regional. So I went to New York for this thing called BCB. stands for Bar Convent Brooklyn. It's like a really big like
So
bartender
salty.
convention. Yeah, you're not a bartender, Chris. You cannot come.
Doesn't mean I don't want to
Chris
go.
and I are always like, if we have a podcast about alcohol, are we allowed to attend these things? And they're like, no.
No.
Yeah, it's not quite. I mean, maybe one day, but
No, I'm just.
anyways, they did a speed rack practice there for all the girls that were like there. Anyone that kind of wanted to like come and watch. So this girl Kim that I had just been connected with was like, "Hey, you should come watch this because I know you're like interested, whatever." So I watched it. At that point, it was too late for me to get involved with last year's competition, which was great because I definitely did not need to at that time. But anywho, essentially it is I don't know if that camera light is flashing. I don't know if that's an important thing to note.
It's
Yeah.
getting hot.
It's probably
okay.
gonna die in
I was
a
like,
minute.
essentially it's a all-female, like high-speed bartending competition. They do 4 regionals. This year they did something new and different, which I won't really get into, but pretty much there I go.
Yep, see? You'll be back in a second, don't you worry.
Essentially, you make 4 cocktails really fast, kind of, long story short. But yeah, I competed in Nashville in May of this year. It's a whole process. You have to like fill out an application, answer like not necessarily essay questions, but I make
Kind
all
of,
my
yeah.
answers essay questions. So answer a lot of questions, submit a personal video if you want to. They like kind of comb through all of the applicants, and then anywhere from like 20 to 25 make it. So in Nashville, I think there was 18 of us, and then we got actually to the competition, and I think there was only about like 15 because a few girls either got injured or like couldn't make it for
Travel was weird
reasons,
that week
and
too.
like not that travel was weird for New Orleans.
Well, no, I feel like you were going to Nashville and like there was a storm or something.
Oh yeah, I mean I feel like travel's always kind of weird. But anyways, yeah. So did that. I placed second in Nashville, which doesn't really mean anything. The girl that like the girls that win the regionals, there's 4 regionals. The girls that win those automatically move on to like the national finals.
Okay.
So since I didn't win, I didn't move on. But they released this thing called the wild card, which is another application. And you have to submit a video of you making 4 cocktails that they request. And then you get either selected or not to be a wild card and come compete at the nationals. And yeah, I somehow got picked. And then did really bad in the competition.
Oh, no.
But that's okay. The girl that actually won this year is one of the first girls I ever watched video-wise compete in Speed Rack about like 2 years ago. She's amazing. So yeah, I'm really happy for her. I learned a lot. It was really great. I definitely will feel much more prepared. I'm doing it again for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, good.
I make jokes about how it's like my identity now.
Are a lot of
Sounds
these
about
people
right.
coming from like super volume type of bars as well?
Not necessarily, no.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, there's like not requirements. You can work at a dive bar. You
Right.
can work at a 5-star restaurant. You can work at the slowest bar in the world, like whatever. It's
Yeah.
just, about like your skill. And honestly, like I think the funniest part about it and like competing like kind of in general is you like never know what kind of day you're going to have. Like every bartender has an off day, just
Yeah,
like
right.
anyone does with any job. So it's kind of just like a toss up. But yeah, it's the best thing ever. I can't wait for next year.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm really
I-
excited.
She did 2 separate rounds of this thing of like, hey, I'm practicing, and I somehow missed every time she was practicing. I didn't get to try any of her speed rack
The last one
drinks.
was brutal because I did it at Ibis and they were not even open that day. So everyone that came in, which thank you guys that came in, a lot of you showed up and that was awesome. But it took me like, anywhere from like 5 to 10 minutes to like set up, build around, whatever. So I at one point had like 8 groups of people waiting for cocktails.
Oh,
and
wow.
like the last group, I was like, oh, your wait time's like 40 minutes right now. Sorry.
I'm
I
so
promise
sorry.
I'm really fast.
I just have to set up because everyone orders different sets of drinks.
Well, yeah, which is obviously the point. But yeah, it's really cool. There is definitely a huge need for what Speed Rack has created. Women do not feel supported in the bar industry whatsoever. Luckily, it's getting a lot better. And they've like honestly really created something really special. So me, I'm a cry, it's really awesome.
It's
like
okay.
even if like you don't make it far, it's still like a really good support system. You meet a lot of like really awesome people. And it's at the end of the day, it's fun. Like I think we do like Zoom calls with random like ex-Speed Rack people when you find out you get in.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl that won last year actually made a comment that said, when you're competing, don't think about competing against the person you're making drinks with. Like compete with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the number one thing I'll never forget because it really is just like you know.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter who like wins or loses, it's such a supportive environment and it's just really cool.
I like it.
Yeah, I love it.
So to build off of top, wow, words today. It's the end of the
Hard.
day. A lot of alcohol. It is what it is. Anyway, so to build on top of that, you also went to Camp Run Amok. Was that last year?
Yeah.
So mostly just talking about all the experiences you've had from being in the industry and everything that you've been able to grow from with it. Kind of tell the listeners a little bit about what that is and what you learned and what the experience was being part of it.
Yeah, no, it is really cool. There is like a lot of fun and like random opportunities for industry people. It's really tiring at times, but it is cool. So camp is a week-long literal summer camp at a children's camp.
There are no kids present.
I was going to say there is no kids
children.
at this
Everyone
event.
is 21 or older.
Even though they may act like kids sometimes.
Yes, they definitely do. But, don't we all sometimes?
You got that right.
But yeah, it's a week-long summer camp at a camp in Lebanon Junction, Kentucky. You go for a week, tour anywhere from like 7 to 10 distilleries, depending on your
sheesh.
schedule.
Yeah.
I think one day, I went last August, and I think one day last August we hit 3 in a day,
Oh, wow.
which is a lot
Yeah.
in the heat. I mean, and it was like record high temps last summer. It was like 100-something every day. The rick houses are like 1,000,000 degrees in my brain because you're like not necessarily hungover, but also just like tired because you're not sleeping a ton and you're sleeping in a bed that the mattress is like maybe that thick. Like literal, it's like
A kid's
bunk
summer
beds.
camp,
Like
yeah.
it's a bunk bed. There's no like good way to put it. But it's amazing. Yeah, it's people from all over the U.S., every other country ever, like whoever wants to apply. Again, another fucking application. Bunch of questions, whatever. There's 150 campers that attend each session. There's two sessions each year, but 150 campers, bunch of like leadership, tons of sponsors. It's a great time. You learn a lot. You take a lot of classes. You taste a lot of booze. You do like sensory and like taste classes, which is also really cool. Like how your taste and smell go together, which a lot of people often forget that your smell and your taste are like besties.
What?
It's really cool. Yeah, it's a super, super cool thing. I'm about to go again on the 17th. And I'm like mentally trying to prepare for how tired I'm going to be.
So are you going as like a camper, or are you going as a like
I'm a
mentor?
counselor this
Counselor,
year. So yeah, you can only go as a camper one time.
That's what I thought. Okay.
So yeah, I'm a counselor for Wild Turkey actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'm super excited. They were on one of my like dream sponsor lists. So yeah, very excited for that. I have 5 girls in my cabin.
Nice.
You have to tell everyone in your cabin to listen to your episode.
Maybe.
Get those 5 extra lessons.
I already want to redo the beginning where I was introducing myself. It's all I've been thinking about this whole time.
We can edit anything. Just let me know.
When we finish, we'll do a clip and we'll just record an intro.
Pretend like this is how I actually
won't
thought
actually
I was
do
gonna
that, but
sound.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll do it.
Don't
So-
lie to me, guys.
So, one of my last questions.
You're gonna keep going.
Oh. Anyway, so one of my last questions, because we broke this thing.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
In general, because I know you've talked and you've grown, especially over the last like 2 or 3 years. What would success look like for you?
Well, that's kind of all over the place for sure. I'm definitely not going to bartend forever. I obviously love it very much. And I do want to do it, for as long as I can.
I mean, you are pretty young.
Yes, but 17 years of ballet, I'm essentially 90, But no, I mean, I will never really leave the industry. My dream job is definitely working for Campari. So
You mean working for
cross
Campari?
your fingers that this Wild Turkey experience this
Right.
month will get me in there.
Does Wild Turkey own Campari?
Campari
it's
owns Wild
yeah.
Turkey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so.
Yeah, they've got Grand Marnier, Espelon, Wild Turkey, Aperol, Campari, all sorts of.
The best way to put it is
It's like the
Swatch Group
yeah.
owning Omega. Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
So in every industry, somebody else owns.
yes.
So like in the
What's
car
always-
industry, like Volkswagen owns BMW and like 7 other
Do
brands.
they really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So what's-
and Audi and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, so what's always interesting, especially in our brains, or I guess most people, is you would expect the higher end, or at least the higher end in your mind would own the lower end. But Swatch Group was the real low end. You could get 16 of these watches. You change out the colors whenever you wanted type of
Yeah.
thing. But they own Omega, which is a very better brand, a good mid-tier watch brand. And it's just kind of interesting that Campari would own Wild Turkey, because you would think Wild Turkey would be the higher end version.
Yeah.
Kind of going
just
down.
it's just a family.
Yeah.
Like the Campari group,
Right. LVMH.
But no, yeah, I would love to be. And my dream job would just be a brand ambassador. for
What does
them.
that mean?
A lot of stuff.
You just you show up at parties and you're just pouring drinks with Campari. I don't know what a brand ambassador is.
It's kind of it kind of has a lot of different things like education. You do parties, you do all sorts of stuff. We had one of their ambassadors come and teach a class at Starling.
Oh.
She's also part of the Russell family, which was cool. But yeah, it's a kind of a decent amount of different stuff. But essentially, we're support staff for the company. You're able to do spins at bars and help do events and that kind of stuff. Promotion stuff, education.
That's cool.
Kind of repping, but not.
But cooler.
Yeah, and I think, which again, I don't obviously know a ton about it. I'm hoping to kind of talk to them when
And
I'm in
learn
Kentucky this month, but I lost what I was gonna say. I don't know.
Just learning about being a brand rep for.
I know, I had a great thought.
That's what I'm here for. Is to ruin them.
Yeah, it's your fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's definitely a big goal of mine. I think eventually I would also really like to open a bar. Definitely not in Wilmington. Definitely not in North Carolina.
Because the rules here suck.
No, I'm just ready to leave.
Okay. Understandable.
Dang, did we go out again?
Yeah, it's fine.
All right.
We're still recording. It's just not coming out of the speaker, but everyone's close enough. They'll be fine.
Can you guys hear us? Oh, I can.
Yeah, use your bar
It'll
voice.
crack. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I definitely won't bartend forever, but I'll probably bartend for a little while longer. You know, hopefully by like 35, I'm not bartending. Probably sooner than that, actually.
For those who wonder, she's not 30 yet, so it's still a little while.
That's still a while for her.
It is a while. Yeah. Ish. Kind of.
Go ahead.
I'm going to steal Chris's last question. What does success look like for you?
I just asked that.
Yeah.
That wasn't
weren't-
really that question,
Yeah.
though.
I said, what does success look like?
I know, but I feel like you went to the career part. I wanted to go beyond career.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like, she went straight to...
like what I would do.
Yeah.
Like work-wise next. Yeah.
Right.
I think success looks like a lot of things. I definitely want to keep improving the industry, especially for females.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I would ever, be like a founding part of something as big as Speed Rack, but I would definitely like to maybe at some point create something similar, like lines with that, just to advocate for women. 'Cause it sucks. Being a girl is bullshit, especially when you're trying to sell whiskey.
That is so silly.
So that's
It's crazy.
I mean, the same in the watch industry. Like, I have a lady who's worked in the watch industry for like almost 20 years in like some of the top watch stores, and people are like, "Oh, can I go see? Can that old guy come answer my question?" And I'm like, "He hasn't even sold his brand, but for 2 years, he don't know anything."
Yeah. I mean, it happens a lot, especially at a bar that is,
Whiskey and wine.
and a bar that's pretty much only females. Yeah. And just like service industry in general, I've been, women are always used, taken advantage of, talked to poorly. Men are too. I'm not like just saying it's women, but definitely like seen as like the lesser. You're not as smart. You're not like whatever. So yeah, I think success for me would be to just, keep kind of pushing the industry in the way it's going, to advocate for girls, women, whatever,
Yeah, whenever you come in. Yeah.
Because I think it's really important that it has gotten a lot better. There has been a lot of improvements. But I think it still needs a push, and it needs people on like the younger end of the scale to, want that for themselves and for other people.
Yeah.
And I want to make a lot of money, duh.
Of course.
That money.
And like not work 80 hours a week on my feet. That would be cool too.
Right, yeah. That's always a benefit.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
Could be worse.
You
It could always
work
be
80
worse.
hours a week on your back.
We're not going to go down that
I'm
route.
like,
Sorry,
wait, hold
sorry,
on.
Chris.
I like
Anyway,
that
my other
I'm
next question. So,
So Tyler's real last question is, if you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Ooh, I don't like this question.
it always takes everyone a few seconds. We got until Brent kicks us out, so I don't know how long that is.
I'm like, are you open?
You got until you finish your drink, so you got plenty of time.
I don't know. That's tough because I feel like a lot of people go to like, oh, like don't worry about what other people think or whatever. I've never given a shit about what other people think. I literally don't care less.
That's what makes it a good last
You could be
question.
funny and be like, buy better shoes. A lot of people say invest in Bitcoin, so like you can say whatever you want to.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I did wish I did. My brother did that,
Smart
and I wish I
man.
would have. But I really don't know. I think I'm like, which I'm sure like the second I leave, I'll think of something like, oh, I should have said this. But like, I don't know. I really appreciate all of like the things I did when I was younger to get me to where I am here. Because I think I've had definitely like a wide variety of things in my life, whether it be, you know, dancing, moving away, industry stuff, working various different jobs, all that stuff. I really appreciate all of those aspects that got me to where I am now. I don't know. Don't date stupid boys. Is that a good one?
Yes.
It's always interesting. The people that take the longest to answer the question usually have the best answers, and the reason for that is because they don't regret anything in their life, so they wouldn't want to change anything that
I really wouldn't.
younger version of them had experienced. But I think that's a good thing to tell your younger self at the same time too. So I mean, the no answer is a great answer.
Yeah,
to that
I'm like,
question.
I don't know. Do what you want to do and be proud of it. Work hard. Save your money.
So many things. So, if people want to come enjoy your beverages or follow your life, where can they check you out?
No, don't do that. I'm just
Okay.
kidding.
So,
I'm just
so,
kidding.
so just come find her at a bar
Yep, I work at the Starling bar.
currently.
It is on. Yes, currently.
All the time.
Pretty much all the dang time. 17th and Queen, baby. It's cute. It's little. And it's probably really hot. And then I'm on Instagram. I don't want to say that, though.
Yeah. It's all good.
You guys can find me.
If you want to, you could find her.
She won't respond on Instagram anyway. We've been sending her messages. It's fine.
Yes. All right. So my actual last question, what's your favorite tattoo?
Oh, God. Damn, I wasn't expecting that.
While you're thinking about it, the one thing that I met, I think it's your, is it your roommate that also got the psycho?
No, not my roommate. One of my really good, like, lifelong friends.
Right, yeah. So I saw her at, this was a while ago. I don't know if she still works there, but it was at Mankind. And I was like, oh, so you know Bex. And she was like, how do you know? And I was like, it was a tattoo. It's fine.
Yes. Yes, her and I managed the brewery, Flying Machine, during the pandemic. And we got this instead of offing ourselves.
Oh, there you go.
No, we've been really good friends for forever. And it was just like a funny chant that we said to each other to get ourselves through the shifts. But yeah, you know, I don't know what my favorite tattoo is.
Every time I think I know how many tattoos you have, I see a new one.
I haven't gotten a new one in a long time. I mean,
relatively long.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. I don't necessarily have a favorite.
I'll ask you next
They're
time
all
you're
cool.
at the bar.
I definitely
How are
have
you
a
gonna
least
pick your favorite
but I
child?
won't point that out.
What is it?
I'll tell you later.
All right. But for real, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
I know it was last minute, but it was fun.
It's okay.
Those
Most
are the
things
best.
in life are.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Check us out. Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts, YouTube. Always check out Azalea Station because they're always generous enough to let us come here first Sunday of every month. First episode starts at 1:30, and our last one ends at 5, or it ends at 6, but starts at 5. So come check us out for the live audience.
Yeah. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Cheers.
Wait. Welcome back to the Whiskey and Wisdom podcast. I'm your host, Chris Kellum, with my constant co-host,
Tyler, y'all.
And this week we bring on our special guest.
I can't do that. It's Rebecca. Don't use that one either. Also,
We're going to keep this at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, no. I've been